But never mind what I think. What did you think of it, Trevor?
Oh, I agree with you. It was pretty awful, actually. It's a sort of thing which I would have expected when I was young, but I thought our country had developed and understanding had developed more than that. And frankly, I'm pretty saddened by it.
Indeed, it was almost like they didn't even want to have the conversation. What did you make of it, John?
Oh, it just doesn't happen in that community. Regretfully, it's happening in a lot of communities up and down the country, and we haven't moved on as much as Trevor might say we would like to have moved on. So even out in West Auckland, on Te Atatu Peninsula, there's land set aside for the Marae there. Had to go to the Environment Court, High Court, and on and on and on. The Marae and Luckens Road just up Hobsonville. That was a 7-year litigious battle that ended in a High Court win in favour of Marae. It's pretty tough in your own country where you've been fought all over the place in raising a edifice to the Indigenous people of the country, but also when they're willing to actually embrace other cultures in terms of the carvings, the protocols, and be inclusive. And so it's easier to get a consent to build a mosque than it is for a marae. It's pretty crazy, really.
Just saw that right there. Which brings us to tangata whenua status. I think one time you tried to push for yourself having tangata whenua status.
No, I think I pushed for myself to be Indigenous.
What's the difference?
I looked it up in the dictionary, and an Indigenous person is someone who is of or from somewhere. And I think I'm of or from Wainuiomata, and been there since I was 3 months and more than half my life there, and so I do feel like I'm of or from that place. I think tangata whenua is a different term. It's something, it's a Maori term for Maori, and clearly I'm not that.
Well, do Pākehā have a similar term, or is there a need, do you think, to start discussing a similar term for Pākehā?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we do pretty well. I don't think we need to be sort of separately identified. Pākehā works pretty well for me, and I think when people start drawing lines in classifying people in ways that they don't want to be classified, I think that's when you do run into race relations problems.
What do you think, JT? Do you think academics are suggesting that an evolution of a new tangata whenua worldview for contemporary New Zealand is needed? Do we have a new identity?
No, I don't think academics have any say in the debate. It's a happening thing. So if you look at the last census, 2006, whether we wanted it or not, over 10%, that's a huge number of Kiwis determined to define themselves as New Zealanders, not as an ethnic group that made up what New Zealanders are. So what you see, we're a very young nation too, and so you've got to be very careful that if we're only about 160 years old, if we go to the 1840 marker, that you don't rush things, because we are evolving a New Zealand identity. Very much so part of that will be defined by a Māori component. Okay, and so it's not I have total ownership of this and you're over there. It's about finding, in our diverse backgrounds and histories and religions and cultures, it's about finding some commonalities rather than looking for the differences. And
do you think it's time for Māori to share tangata whenua status with people who've come from Europe but have been in New Zealand for many generations?
Well, I consider my mother's people, my mother, tangata whenua, right? So she's Irish-Scotch extraction, but third generation Kiwi. And if you have a look at our tikangas, 3 generations of holding on to ahika is an expression of absolute occupation. It's an expression of mana whenua. And so, whilst those are tikanga Māori to Māori, pretty soon it must start to wash back into other communities that are asserting the same sort of mana.
Trevor, where do you think the situation is for Pākehā who are wanting sort of more status because they've been here for many, many generations?
Well, I don't know if that's right. I think I'm disagreeing a bit with Johnny. It's almost like saying you could be mana whenua without being tangata whenua, which to me seems a bit of a contradiction in terms. But you think of some of the old cockies who've been on their land for generations. They would describe themselves as people of the land. But I think there is something different. I don't think that one side of my family, one side of my kids' family that's been here since pre-1840 has any more rights than the second generation side. I just don't think that's right or fair.
Which brings us to whānau ora. Do you think whānau ora should be exclusively for Māori?
Not at all. I think it's a damn fine idea. I think that breaking down the silos of government and getting people responsible for proper links into government, without having all the division and all the interagency fights is a really good idea. Why only do it for Marae?
No, what I'm going to suggest is, as the program rolls out, it's kaupapa Māori driven. And the only way to make it work effectively is to use our kaupapa and our processes. And that's why I take an inclusive approach as opposed to an exclusive approach, which is what the track Trevor's going down. So, funnily enough, in this country, you can have Māori-led solutions. Too many people make money off Māori misery and Māori difficulty. And so what whānau ora promises is to break away from significant intergenerational providers that have provided nothing but continued difficulty. And so if we are given lead agency roles and rights and can effect changes positively and measurable per annum, it should be a Māori-led program, and we should be acknowledged for being leaders in the community rather than always having to be either behind someone or someone holding our hand, showing us the way.
Trevor, do you think there are enough qualified health organisations that have signed up and will be working in this field?
I frankly don't know whether there are enough. I don't know if there are enough people trained to make it work. And what I'm also not sure of is whether in working the way that we're getting enough people with the administrative skills to actually get it going properly. And I do disagree with John. I mean, I've seen some work, for example, at Victory School in Nelson, where they have led a combined community response multi-ethnically, and it's made an enormous difference to that community. It didn't need to be Māori-led to actually work.
Huge population of Māori there, aren't there?
Okay, we have to wrap up soon. Hang on.
Mangere Mob Nelson made a big difference to them.
Indeed, we have to wrap up soon. Now, I heard you in the House very unhappy about the government's handling of the Hobbit. How can you be unhappy about that?
Well, I think it's really good that we've got the Hobbit. I think it's great. It's going to be great for Wellington in particular.
Absolutely, so why were you complaining about it?
But the way that we got it was appalling. We had 2 years of just not letting the relationship happen, the ministers not doing their job, Jerry Brownlee sitting on his backside, so we had a crisis and we got shook down. We got shook down for employment laws against our own sovereignty, and we got shook down for $33 million more than we needed to be.
Are you sure you're not just playing out for potential leader of your party?
Me, potential leader. JT knows that I know my limitations.
Yeah, thankfully
yes
everyone else does too.
That's a definitely not.
What do you think of the government's handling of the Hobbit, JT?
Oh, no, I think that if you're going to subsidise a preferred group of people in this country, be straight up about it. And if you're going to benefit a small group at the top of that, let's understand that. And that's really what's happened here. And so it's just a straight subsidy of a small class of people. Why not subsidise more manufacturers, more farmers, more tradesmen? So there's a whole question there. The other question is I don't like our sovereignty being sold to the Yanks in 5 minutes. So I think you make a very good point, Trevor. And good on the Hobbit for being here. But a whole lot of other industries have been devastated in the name of reform.
That's the entertainment business for us, though, really, isn't it? Anyway,
well, you're part of it.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming onto the program. Kia ora, Scotty.
JT, Trevor, tēnā kōrua, Jody, tēnā koe. You finally agreed on something at the end there, so we got there at the end, so ka pai.